You gotta understand, there's so much more to this. I mean, we were recording episode 200 and something the other day. And trying to remember, like, okay, what was your favorite single moment of the 250 episodes that you've recorded? It's like saying, what's your favorite meal you've had of the 365 last days that you've eaten 3 meals a day? Which one? Right now, answer the question. What?
I was like eating pasta at the Yachty's.
Once a year? Alright. So, anyway, it's difficult to say. The Sanji stuff, I always like it when he's more relaxed and chilled out, because I don't, when he's all like flirty and stuff, it requires a little more energy. When he's chilled out and relaxed, I can just be chilled out and relaxed. So I like those moments the best. Trunks, everything's always this! Constantly, all the time! Yeah! So, picking one moment is like picking all the time. Where Trunks cuts Freezer in half. Because anybody getting cut in half vertically is hilarious. Okay, who else got a question? Okay. Which character do I like voice acting for the most these days? Probably America.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
How do arguments?
Oh, no, her.
Oh, here.
Yeah. I'll get to you.
It's okay. Can you do a line from Italia as America and a line as Canada?
Just any line?
Any line.
I don't remember them though.
I'm the hero.
Just any line, just make it up?
Like, maybe I'm the hero of America.
I'm a hero! What did you say? Speak up, stupid, we can't hear you! That doesn't even make any sense! Okay, and floor sitter.
How do arguments work, like, in the voice acting sessions? I mean, you said earlier that you're always by yourself, like, you never do it with more than just one person in the booth, so, like, how do arguments work? Like, for two characters arguing?
You record one half of the argument, and then you record the other half of the argument. Yeah, because it's like, like America and Canada. There's that one where recently I saw it the other day. It was playing baseball, they're arguing back and forth. So I had to record all of America's lines. So we were recording America. And we record the whole episode as America first. And then I get to that scene, and I record each line as America. One at a time. America line, America line, America line, America line. And there's no Canada. But then, I get to go back, and on the second pass of that scene, all of the America lines have been recorded. So I hear the America lines. And then I can respond in Canada's voice. And have an argument with myself. So if you're the first person recording in a session as in an argument, that's difficult because you have no voice in your headset to play off of. But if you're the second or third person or something, and there's an actor who's already been recorded, that does make it easier because you have something to play off. So, acting is make-believe. pretending. So if you're a good pretender, and I was pretending with G.I. Joes when I was real little, so I've had a lot of practice. It's not as hard as that. Okay, who else has a question? Somebody, yes. Yeah.
How do you get your inspiration for your voices? How do you get the voices in your head? Like, say for drums or movies.
So the question is, how do I get the inspiration for the character voices that I do? Trunks, which was the first character, I got into the booth and Chris Sabat was directing me to the voice, and he said that he was looking for a voice that sounded something along the lines of Clint Eastwood or Snake Plissken. And being a big fan of both, I just said, something like this. He goes, perfect, do that. And for America, I'm going to try to keep my language as clean as I can here. But for America, I tried to I know, it's like having my daughter in the room. I'm like,
The guy was in the box office.
okay, I tried to think of biggest D-bag voice I could. Who's that? Who's the guy? I kind of talked about this in the panel earlier today. Who's the guy at the table near you? Shut up at the restaurant. He's like, hey, waitress, come over. I need a drink. Give me a drink. That guy won't shut up. It's too loud. There he is. So that's just what I did. And other character voices, it's really just instinctual. And when I go in, I just audition. I audition like every other actor, so I don't get cast and then invent the voice. I audition, so I have an audition side. I have usually a picture of the character, a little description of the character, and then some dialogue. And based off of that little bit of information, I create a character and a character voice. And I think, hey, it should sound like this. And I come up with it. And either they like it or they don't. And if they like it, they hire me. Yes? Yeah, always. We always play the Japanese. We always watch everything we're doing in Japanese first, so that we have a greater understanding of what the intent is and how the scene is supposed to flow and all that kind of stuff. Yes?
What's the absolute worst voice you've ever done? Gave you so much pain and you're just like, God, why did I do this?
The worst voice I've ever done? Like the one that's hurt the most?
Or just like the one you just did not like doing. Period.
None.
Oh!
Like, it's like, this just sucks, you just, the character just hate everything about it.
There's no voice that, there's no job that I hate so much that I don't want it.
Sorry to be a bit of a pessimist, but it's just...
I don't, no, that's, you guys are, I know that you want me to say, I hate such and such. I don't. There's no way. The voices that people cast me in are not different voices for me to do because I don't, and this is an example I'll give you from what I gave earlier. What I don't do is I don't audition, and this is important for everybody to understand. You don't audition out of your range. So I don't audition in a voice that I can't sustain for a long period of time. I don't walk into an audition and I don't audition and sound like this because that would wreck me if I did that for 4 hours. No, don't do this because that wrecked me for 4 hours and did that too. So all my voices are in my range that's comfortable for me, that I can sustain for 4 hours or an 8-hour session.
We'll stay later.
Screaming as well. If I'm screaming, I scream in my register so that it doesn't hurt. And as far as characters go, I don't dislike any of the characters I've played, and even bad guys and evil characters. And you have to figure out a way to love every character you play, even evil bad guys, in order to portray them successfully, or you're going to give a false performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to really give an answer to that question because I don't walk away from anything hating the performance. I've never left the booth going, "Ah, to hell with that. I don't like that guy. I don't want to play that character." You know.
Yeah.
I'm always appreciative that anyone hires me for anything. You know. And I do my best at everything I get hired for. So acting's a little bit different. Think of it like this. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people in here have regular jobs that they go to. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you got a day job. I mean, who in here has a 9-to-5 job? Regular job. That's it. This is a lot of youngsters. So you got a regular job. You got a regular job that you go to. My job is finance. I audition, and an audition is a job interview. So I'm doing job interviews every single day. And so every job I get hired to do, I commit myself to it, try to do the best that I can so that maybe they'll hire me again. So if I stand here and tell you something negative about a job I was hired to do, and the person who hired me to do that checks out what this girl has and she's going to post on YouTube later, that guy ain't going to hire me no more.
Come back to haunt you.
And it will come back to haunt me and then haunt my kids, and we will get kicked out of our house and I can't pay my mortgage, and they're going to go, "Daddy, why can't we eat it?" Shut up, kid! And that's not a good happy household. Yeah. I don't know. No? Beats me. I didn't do any of those voices. You mean like the fusion and stuff? I'm assuming what they did is they have, I'm assuming what they did is they would have, or at least what I would do is I'd have one actor record it first, and have the other actor come in, listen to that, mimic it, and then you take the audio files, lay them on top of one another, and then if this is what one audio file sounds like and this is what the other one sounds like, we put them on top of one another, and then the other engineer will kind of adjust them so that they sound the same. So it's more of a technical thing than anything else. It's an engineer question, really. But I'm honestly, I've been around there. I don't know what they do. Yeah. Okay.
I have a letter for you.
No, you don't. Get out! Get out! Get out! There are no letters in this room at all, young lady. So I'm in Sydney, Australia. And I walked into the signing table, and there's this girl holding a letter. And she's the first person standing in the, she was there yesterday, so she's already heard this. And there's this girl holding a letter. She's like, okay. So, here, I want you to read this letter. And I grab the letter, and I say thank you, and I go to the side, and I sign some stuff for her. She's really nervous, and blah, 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 thank you, and I'll see you later. And she walks off. And then I take the letter, go back to my hotel room that night, and my wife and I open the letter, we start reading it, and it's like, imagine if Charlie Manson wrote you a love letter. Something like that. Okay? So it was a little creepy, and I thought, okay, that's cool. And my wife's like, well, at least you've gotten that out of the way. Tomorrow will be a lot better. So the next day, my wife went with me to the convention so that she could buy our son a gift. And when I got there, guess who's first in line with the second letter? Same girl. Only this time she's more emotional. She's kind of crying. my wife comes up, says bye to me, and walks off towards the convention. And we're actually on the convention floor, so she's walking away. And I take the letter, put it aside. That letter, we read it later, ended up being even crazier. I still have both of them. And I sign her stuff, and she goes off to the side and talks to Mike, my bodyguard. And Mike, what she asks Mike is that Trump's wife? And Mike goes, yeah. And she just runs after my wife. And Mike jumps over the table and starts running after her. And I'm just going, and Mike tackles this girl. And I mean, tackles her. This isn't like a 90-pound, 19-year-old girl that he just, and Mike's like that. And just tackles her on the floor, and she starts crying. And my wife, it happens like this close to my wife, and she's like, whoa! What's going on? And she's crying. I just wanted to ask her a question. My wife's like, okay, that's fine. So let her ask me a question. So she gets up and she says to my wife, I just wanted to know what it's like being married to Trunks. My wife says, well, honey, I'm not married to Trunks. I'm married to Eric. And she goes, oh, okay, well, that's got to be great. But do you just buy him presents every day? And my wife, to this day, still asks me that. All the time. At least once a week. You know, you want me to go buy you some presents today or something? I'm not got me enough presents this week, Eric. Oh, believe me, I've come up with plenty of comebacks, some of which aren't as nice as that.
That's where Mike.
But yeah, she was very sweet. So that's probably the craziest person who I've had the pleasure of dealing with. But don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of unruly people out there, but that girl takes the cake. And I'm going to Melbourne, Australia at the end of June. I first met her, and I want to say it was like, it must have been 2004. Thank you. Okay, somebody back here had their hand. So the girl just walked out. Yes? Okay, who else? Question? Yes?
Supernatural special powers on the
I absolutely believe that she's got some kind of... She's got something going on. Yeah, my daughter... so I'll tell you... Story time! So who heard the Lily stories yesterday? Just a few of you. Okay. Don't mind hearing them again?
No.
Okay. We'll start with the unicorn story. Lily is 5 years old. Okay? And when you ask her, Lily, how old are you? 5 years old. 5 years old. Not years. She doesn't understand the concept. So she's 5 years old. Right? It's hilarious. Anyway, Chris Savin and I went to a convention in Mesa, Arizona a couple months ago. And when we were there, I went on a rant in one of my panels, as I'm apt to do. I go on rants a lot about how I hate bronies and the whole concept of bronies and all that stuff. Because yes, I watch My Little Pony. Guess why? Because my 5-year-old autistic daughter watches My Little Pony. And I tell that to the bronies that I meet. Bronies? Bronies? No, you're a girl. What?
Doesn't matter.
Sorry, what?
Doesn't matter. Are you?
I can't hear you.
It doesn't matter.
What doesn't
Still a
matter?
brony.
What?
Still a brony. Still a brony.
You're still a brony?
Yes. Yes.
I'm in a relationship. I was 5 years old. I'm in.
From what I understand and the way it's been explained to me, bronies are all the dudes who are way into My Little Pony friendship special. That's the way I understand it. And these are all basically all the dudes that I know are like 30 years old. For some reason, single. Anyway, it's all. Again, see me ranting here? Okay. So Lily, this girl comes to the autograph line and she hands me a stuffed bunny rabbit. She's like, this is for your little daughter Lily. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And she says, and this is for you, and hands me this big My Little Pony stuffed unicorn. Freaking unicorn, I don't know, it's rainbow. And she hands it to me, and I'm like, oh, thank you, that's so sweet of you. It was very sweet. But, you know, I'm not going to keep the unicorn myself for my daughter. So I take him home, and I go home. Well, when I get home Sunday night, my daughter is sitting on my wife's lap at the kitchen table coloring. So my wife is sitting there, Lily is on her lap, and she's just coloring. Won't even look up at me, just coloring. And I walk in with both stuffed animals behind my back like this. Neither my wife nor my daughter can see what's behind my back. And I walk in and I say, Lily, Daddy has 2 presents for you. I've got one in my right hand and one in my left hand. Which one do you want first? And she just goes, right hand. And I go, look, it's a little bunny rabbit. And I set it down in front of her and she goes, bunny. I go, okay, and right when I'm about to say, oh, what do I have left, my left hand or whatever, I go, okay, now I have, and she goes, unicorn. And I'm standing here like this, and my wife's looking at me and she goes, why'd you say unicorn? Because I have a unicorn in my left hand, and my wife just goes. She's like, how did she know you had a unicorn? I don't know how she knew I had a unicorn. And Lily, still not looking at me, goes, unicorn. Here's your unicorn. Hope you like the presents. Apparently she knew I had anyway. Big surprise. A couple weeks ago. And I know Crystal real well. And I was like, sorry, I'm a little freaked out. And I explained it to Crystal, and Crystal's like, it's so weird. And the other one I told, the other one I told yesterday is, it was just Lily and I at home one night. My son and my wife were off at play rehearsals for a play they were doing. And Lily was on the iPad, but it was past bedtime, it was time to go to bed. So I pull her off the iPad and she's crying and mad and saying, no, like it's still bedtime. And I pick her up and I walk her through the kitchen. The kitchen has these flickering poltergeist lights that because I haven't changed my fluorescent bulbs yet, it's lame. I'm lazy. And it's so I walk through the kitchen and I'm about to go through the TV room that has this globe light with a fan on it, and that's on. The light on, not the fan, because it was cold. And I walk through and I say, well, do you want to sit in the chair, you know, to watch TV with me to get tired? Or do you want to go to bed? Chair or bed? No chair. Okay, fine. Lily, do you want to go to bed? No bed. Fine, we're going to bed. And I walk, and as I get underneath the fan, she grabs the little cord and turns the fan on. And it starts, and it gets real cold real fast. I'm like, okay. And then go back and turn the fan off. So I go back, click the fan, and turn around to go back to her room, and she's now smiling. I'm like, oh, finally she's in a good mood now. I go, what are you smiling about? And she does this. She goes, "Oh, what do you want?" And she reaches her finger up to the light and touches the big globe. And the second her finger touches that thing, the light goes pop! And pops out. And the whole room goes black. And the lights behind me are flickering like Poltergeist. And Lily goes, "Are you scared?" He says, "Lily, that is not funny. We are going to bed." And I walk past the chair that she said no to, and she goes, "Sit down in that chair!" "You sit in that chair, Linda Blair." I drop her in the chair and change the light. As I'm changing the light bulb, kind of looking at her, she's hopping up and down in the chair, going, "Are you scared?" Needless to say, I sat in the chair with her like this. Until my wife came home. She's like, "How's everything?" And I'm like, so, there's that. That's just a little taste of my home life with my daughter. She's the most beautiful thing in the world. I mean, she looks like a little angel, but I'm telling you, stuff like that. Damian Clark, he plays the voice of Cell. After I told him a couple of these things, he's like, "I ain't coming over to your house." That's it, I'm done. Because he always comes over to my house and hangs out, and we have nice barbecues and stuff like that. He's like, "I'm finished." All right, so, let's see. None of the other ones are coming to me off the top of my head, so if I can get back to more Lily stories, as they pop up, I'll tell you. Yes, sir. Do you ever hang out with Goku or Vegeta? Yeah. Well, not Goku. He lives in New York. But, yeah, the guy who plays Vegeta is Chris Sabat. I see him almost every day. Because his recording studio is in our... He lives about a block from us. And we're really good friends. And he also has a recording studio right up the street. And that's where... for those of you who didn't know, I'm the voice director for the video game Borderlands 2. We've been recording that up until just Friday. We're done. And now that'll be coming out, I think, October in the fall. Okay, yes. Can my daughter see into the future? Absolutely. I know she can. I know she can. So can I. I can't. I'm going to predict the future. Somebody's going to raise their hand.
That's not right. I've had my hand raised for 2 minutes.
That's going to get hurt. So what? Yeah.
Me? Do you ever bring your daughter to like the cons and stuff with the costumes and whatnot?
No, I don't. Yeah, it would be difficult. With autism, it's too much. I can't take her to gatherings with a lot of people. It's too much input, and so she would have kind of like temper tantrum meltdowns. It would just be too much for her. So she can't spend a whole lot of time in high input environments. That being said, all of the knick-knacky things that everyone has, she would think are hers, and she would wreck it all. So that would be bad for everybody. So no, I haven't. At some point, probably I will. When she gets a little older and a little more independent, then yeah, I would. But not at this point. Okay, who else?
What would Santi say to all the women in the room?
Say something fervent.
Yeah, sure. That's totally awesome for me to do that to all the, 14-year-old girls. No. What? Oh, that's you. I can't see your mouth behind the camera. I'm just hearing your voice, and I'm like, someone's a ventriloquist. Yeah. Oh, Sanji! No, I don't know. Let's see. Sanji's voice is, Nami Swan! That's my favorite thing to do. We started adding that in. They wouldn't let me do that the first few seasons. It was just, Nami, my love, or something like that. And now we got to add in the Swan this time. So, might not mean anything to you guys, but it's a big deal to me, so. I don't know, I still like cool Sanji the best. I like the best that I get to play cook, because I'm kind of a cook myself, so.
I was just wanting to ask, even though I know this is kind of difficult because you said he's more whiny, but would you be able to say, "Soba-noodle man, I hate wasabi horseradish," and "Soba-noodle man, I hate wasabi horseradish," in Rory's voice?
Oh my god.
From when
Soba-noodle man, I hate something. I'm sorry, I forgot the middle word. It's so late. Why doesn't anybody like me? Why do you ask me to jump through these flaming hoops that you hold so high in the air? I'm not a monkey. This is a horrible circus you have here. All right, and yes, sir. You have to.
Yeah, when you're at a convention or you're in the studio, what other voice actor or actress do you have the most fun with?
Oh, well, that's Chris Sabat. But that's just because Chris Sabat and I we're friends. I mean, you know, like, see each other all the time. Well, I mean, you know. But you know, outside of, you know, he's got a little girl at home. I got a little girl at home. We've got, you know, wives and family and stuff. I was at his, you know, I took my daughter over to his daughter's birthday party a few weeks ago, and you know, we do family stuff together and friend stuff together at home. So when I get to go out of town to a convention, and it's just Chris and I out of town without our families, it's like boys' night out. So the first thing Chris and I do is, I mean, I swear, Chris and I have some great times because we just run on the same pattern. So the first thing we do is there a casino? Casino, yay or nay? If nay, what shows are playing nearby? Like, do we have a concert that we can go see? You know, and you know, we've got a list of things that we like to do. So he's always a good time to hang out. Okay, who else we got? What do I like to play in casinos? Yeah. Oh man, I'm anything, man. I got married in Vegas. I said that to my wife. We're sitting at home trying to plan our wedding, and she's like, we're looking at everything, everything's so expensive. You know, it's gonna be $10,000 plus if we get married at home. Well, she's like, I don't know what we're gonna do. This thing is so expensive. We gotta invite all these people. There's some people that they're gonna come out of town, blah, 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 blah. And I go, babe, we should just get married in Vegas. And she goes, okay. And I'm just like, she said okay, just walk out of the room. But we looked into it, it was actually cheap. You know, it was a beautiful wedding. We got married at Caesar's Palace. Everything was paid for. It was incredibly cheap. It was an 8-minute wedding. And it was gorgeous, you know. Had a great time. So, anyway, to answer your query, I love craps, 3-card poker, blackjack. I used to like Caribbean stud, not so much anymore. But those are the 3 right now. Craps, blackjack, 3-card poker.
Have you been to Astar yet?
No, I have not. I was thinking about going, but I was also thinking about actually going home with money. Okay, somebody who hasn't asked a question, yes.
Are there any other voice actors that you haven't met that you would like to?
I've not met Steve Bloom. Everybody says he's awesome, so I should probably meet him. Maybe the only one. Because I've done a lot of conventions, and that's usually where voice actors tend to mingle, unless they know one another personally. Because in the voice studio, you don't run into each other. You don't get to work together. Unless it's in the hallway, or unless you work on other projects together. Like, there are plenty of voice actors that I work with on other projects, like, you know, commercials, TV, other voiceover gigs, what have you. You know, that kind of stuff. Okay, who else has questions? Question? Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, I want to ask you something about Borderlands 2, but I don't know, like, how was voice acting?
Oh yeah, well how was the voice acting? See, there's not a whole lot I can talk about with that game because I can't give a whole lot away. But I can tell you that the acting count was a lot higher than the first game. There's a tremendous amount of voice talent. We exhausted our voice talent in the town. We used as many different characters as we could because we wanted to give it a variety. I know that, again, it's a Chris Savage studio, and one of his pet peeves, being the gamer that he is when he plays games like, I hope I get the names right because I haven't played them, but if I understand correctly, he was saying on Skyrim, he was noticing that you would have characters talking to one another who are obviously voiced by the same person. And we wanted to avoid that as much as possible by casting as many different people to do as many different voices. And there's so many different characters, so many different voices in this game. We did the best job that we could. So I think we're going to find a delicious variety. Yeah, you haven't asked anything.
Do you own any, like besides your name, do you own any American merchandise?
Okay. In fact, the only stuff that I really do own is what I'm given from the fans. The fans give me some pretty cool stuff. You know, like somebody gave me one of the clouds yesterday. That. So I got, that yesterday. Somebody made stuffed Beck dogs for the whole cast of Beck and sent them up to me. So I have a Beck dog. It's this big. And I'm not kidding, it's awesome. You know, and we have that at home, and my daughter carries it around and sleeps with it. You know? And it's funny because the tail on it's like this long, so you can tie it around her leg and she'll run around with it.
Just neat.
You know? So that kind of stuff, really the stuff that I value is the stuff that I get from you guys. I mean, I can get merchandise from the studio, DVDs, wall scrolls, and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm not going to hang any of that stuff in my house. That's more for my kids' room. If they want to put that up in their room, that's fine. My son has some of that stuff up in his room. He watches Italia, he loves it. He's a big fan. But for me, I like collecting the stuff that you guys can. Especially the hand. All right, who else? Somebody who hasn't asked something. Sorry, no. What? All right, 5 minutes, and I want questions from people who have asked me nothing. Or I'm walking out right now. Yes.
What's the biggest budget project you've ever worked on?
The biggest budget project?
Like the one that's the most money been put into?
In what capacity? You mean in anime?
Anything
In anything?
that you've worked on.
There's this horrible movie called Serving Sarah. Anybody seen it? Exactly. That had it was like a $50 million budget. They shot in Dallas, and I was. This was when I was just beginning my career. I'd been voicing Trunks a year, and I was Bruce Campbell's stand-in on the film. So that was cool. I got to work with Bruce Campbell for like 3 weeks and just hang out with him. So who knows Bruce Campbell? Yeah. Thank you. Not enough people. If you don't know who Bruce Campbell is, I guarantee you the people in this room would love Bruce Campbell for the who he was. Right? Burn Notice, Evil Dead movies. I mean,
But who does he play in?
see, look, everyone's like, what?
Who's playing for him?
Yeah, Boomstick.
But another who's the FBI agent.
Army of Darkness.
What?
What?
One that.
Cena. So anyway, I was his stand-in, and for 3 weeks, he and I just hung out. And he's just the nicest guy. So that was probably the biggest budget, and unfortunately, it ended up being the lamest movie. Not because of him, it was Matthew Perry who started it. That's also not his fault. Yeah. Have I gotten to watch Italian or anything that I do? Bloopers? Oh yeah, I have actually watched all the blooper reels from Italia, and mine are the best. I have to say. No, actually, I like Patrick Sykes. You know, because he's ridiculously funny. Yeah, he does German. That man makes me laugh so hard. Goodness gracious. All right, how much time? We got like one more question. One more. You, sir, get the last question.
Girl, do it. What was your
What?
What was your it's a chick. Yeah.
Yeah, like I can tell.
A lot of people would say it, but
That's my fault. Blame me. You look stupid on camera.
Again.
Hey, you know what? I'm just kidding. At the con that I was at last, actually was in Winnipeg, Canada last summer with Saturn. There was a girl, and she was cosplayed as a character from Italia. And I did the same thing, but I didn't have these on. And with these on, I can't even see what you look like. You know? You're blurry. I see black and white. You know? And she was about that far away, and she was dressed up as a man. And I said, hey dude, and I said something, and I won't go into exactly what I said because it was an over 18 panel, but I said something about that dude needs to get with these chicks and date them because you're sitting with all these dudes and you're a loser. And she got so mad. Anyway, so what's your question?
what was your experience
Yuki doing Fruits Basket was, first off, that's not a very difficult voice to do because it's just kind of whispery. And he doesn't show a lot of emotion, so that's also kind of easy. And it was also toward the beginning of my career, so I didn't actually know, I would say I still didn't know what I was doing because by the time I was playing Yuki, I had done Trunks, I played Eugene Blue Gender, and then Fruits Basket. And, you know, that's a good variety. I mean, Yuji and Trunks are kind of similar in their experiences, so same playing field. And then Yuki's totally different. So all I did was just, you know, whispered a lot and acted very broody and tried to get in touch with my inner 13-year-old boy who was always very shy and didn't do all that well with the ladies for a very long time. Right. So it was not very difficult, but it was fun. I had a good time. I guess that's it.